Hey everyone, how's it going? Happy 8 p.m. And today's conversation is how do you define your significance? This is a question that I was asked to reflect upon today by the wonderful Christine. And so I'm literally just going to do it live right now because I have not had the time to reflect on it. I think this is a very great conversation to talk about. This is something that I feel is very powerful to ask, and I think this deals a lot with our self worth. It's how do we define ourselves? How do we define everything about who we are? So I'm going to go ahead and answer this right now, and I have a feeling people are going to be trickling in, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about it later on in the stream as well. Throughout the stream, answer questions as we always do. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this one. How do I define my significance? What defines what defines my significance? What defines my significance? Ooh, I feel like I got a messy answer for this one. I wish um, if I took more time to think about it, it'd be more clean. But my messy answer right now is, I think what defines my significance, well, it starts with me. Um, what I do know is my significance is not perfect, or the way I define my significance is not perfect. It's, like I said, it's messy. Um, I believe there's more responsible ways of looking at it, but in this moment, up until now, I would say my significance is often dictated by. Honestly, it feels a little bit about like external sources, which is not the most healthy thing to do. You know, when I say external sources, I think significance to me is like it's when let's say I go to a school and I do some speaking gigs, or maybe I do some YouTube videos and people, respond back to me like, "Hey, Richard, you really changed my life." That positive feedback, yes, it feels great, and um, I think there was some truth to it. There was some truth to when people give us compliments. It's more if more people give us compliments, it's more likely that people are actually being impacted. But just because people are not commenting us, are complimenting us, it doesn't mean that we're not making impact. It does not mean that we're not significant. So, um, where do I find my significance? A part of it up until now is by doing the work that I do, helping people to build up their self esteem and to see their own self worth, help them redefine their self worth. And I think at the end of the day, what I do know is by just doing, by just continuing to create content every single day, by doing Facebook/YouTube live videos every single day, by speaking, by just doing whatever I'm doing, by messaging people, or replying back to comments or emails. These are things that help define my self worth my self worth, my significance, and I guess maybe self worth. It probably slipped for a reason. So for me, self worth and significance, apparently subconsciously, it just came out of nowhere. There has to be something there. There has to be some sort of relationship between my significance and my self worth. So, do I feel I'm significant and do I feel I'm worthy? I think in a way, to me, up until now, they're somewhat related or very closely related. Okay. So, what to do here? What to do here? Significance. All right. So I wanna switch. I talked about kind of up until now. By the way, up until now is like a very powerful coaching verbiage to use. The idea is like let's say you say life is hard. Life is miserable. Up until now, life is miserable. What that means is, in the past you had this belief that life is miserable, life is tough, life is challenging. Um, up until now to me means like in this moment, you have a choice to change it. In the past, you figured out, okay, life is challenging. But in this moment, you can choose, you know what? Life isn't challenging. Like, let's choose an empowering way of thinking. Life is not challenging. Life is beautiful. Life is amazing. Life gives opportunities for us to learn and grow. So it's a mind shift. Or, you can say that I lived a miserable life. Again, that's a story. So it's interesting. One thing I find very interesting with myself is when Peter, good to see you on, brother. Oh, whoa, what the? Why do I not see comments? Oh, goodness. There we are. I just had to scroll up. Peter says, good morning, Richard. Good morning to you, Peter. Let's see. I lost my train of thought here temporarily. What I have to say? I can't remember what I gotta say. Hey, Isabella, good to see you. Isabella says, hi, Richard. I was just wondering how what? Dis disassociated self-worth from how I do in school. How sorry, not clear. Disassociate. Can you clarify what that word is? Is it disassociate? Hi, Richard. I was just wondering how something self-worth from how I do in school. How do you disassociate self-worth from how you do in school? I'm pretty sure that's what your question is. Yeah. Let's dive into it. So, how do you disassociate your self-worth from how you do in school? I believe this is where redefining our definition of self-worth. That's where that's important. It's not an easy journey to do. So it takes a little bit of time and practice. So if you find yourself associating your GPA and how you're doing in school with your self worth, then you get to consciously look at that and just notice, hey, you know what? My GPA does not determine my self worth. It's a choice. You know, a lot of students allow their GPA to determine their self worth. If they're having, they have good grades, they have, more positive self worth. If they have negative grades or bad grades, then they have more negative self worth or bad self worth, low self worth. And what's really interesting to me is I want to give the example of the stereotypical, I want to say, cultural. What's it? Immigrant parent slash student, because there's a lot of times where the immigrant parent is like, they're very hard on their children. They expect their children to get straight A's, do really well in school, and let's say that the immigrant child ends up getting whatever B pluses and A minuses, which might be good. Let's say A minuses. Let's say they get straight A minuses. Everything's all A minuses, and to lots of people, they're like, A minus, like that's great, like those are pretty much A's. And then maybe to that person, they're like, man, I could have done so much better. I should have gotten straight A's. I got A minuses. Like that's so bad. So their self worth is like their self worth is crushed because it's based off GPA, and A minuses aren't good enough for them. So it's all frame of reference. It's all how our mind interprets everything. So that's what I have to say there. So if you want to improve your self-worth, or how do you disassociate your self-worth from your grades, what you do is you change your definition of self-worth. So for myself, one thing I'm trying to do less of, when I think about my own self-worth, how does Richard define his own self-worth? What I do is I try to disassociate my self-worth from my achievements, my any kind of accomplishments, anything about what people think about me, the compliments I get, the negative things whatever negative comments, or the haters, everything. I do my best to disassociate from those kind of things. And when it comes to self-worth, I try to I'm in the process of kind of training myself to see self-worth from a more internal or intrinsic perspective. So when I look at self-worth, it's going to be more like, my self-worth comes from what I want my self-worth to be is I want my self-worth to be associated with my character, the person that I am as a human being. And I think step number one, in a way, is like, it's defining what do you want your self-worth to be based off of, by the way, I don't recommend basing self-worth off of grades, achievements, things like that, because I don't think it's a good way to go. I think it's such a fragile thing. Like, if you don't achieve certain goals, then your life becomes miserable, and you just become crushed. You become depressed, and A lot of people do that. I'm gonna go back to the typical Asian son or daughter example, which is like, this is very similar. Parent wants them to go to, get straight A's, do really well, go to a prestigious school. They go to university, and whatever, decent or okay. And then they're not getting straight A's, so they get massively depressed. And I don't know if you heard stories like this. This is kind of sad, but there's a lot of immigrant children who end up committing suicide because their grades aren't good enough, and that's a really sad thing to do. So my point being is like, when it comes to self-worth, please like focus on defining your self-worth based off your character, or something more intrinsic that you can control, and continue, be kind to yourself too. Continue to work on whatever it is one step at a time. Yeah, so that's what I have there. Isabella also says, my parents were born and raised in South America. They came here as teens and didn't go to college, so I guess I do feel the pressure of doing well in school. Thank you for sharing that. Nellie Carlson, good to see you on. Thanks for hopping on. So, we're caught up with questions right now. I want to talk about, go back to significance right now. So I think the same thing applies. So if you're just hopping on right now, I talked about where I define my significance, and the honest truth, up until now, is that a lot of my excuse me, a lot of my significance has been coming from more external sources, which is not the way that I want to go. A lot of my significance has been defined by what is the impact that I'm making in the world. How do I define my significance? What makes me feel significant? I feel like I want to change this question. I want to change this question to, what makes you feel significant? Is that what makes you significant? How do you define your significance? What makes you feel significant? I'm gonna go with this question. Okay, so I'll change the topic later. I'm like, can I? No, I can't change it right now. But the conversation right now is, what makes you feel significant? And I guess in this conversation, I want to talk about what makes you feel significant right now, and what do you think is the right way to feel significant? So let's go with those. I'm going to answer question A, which is, what makes me feel significant in this moment right now, for better or worse, for right or wrong, good or bad. And then I want to talk about what I believe should be the ways I feel significant. Okay. So, ways I currently feel significant, I would say, again, by contributing, by giving, by creating things like the Own Your Life Challenge, that's starting up in a couple days, by speaking at schools, sharing my story, things like that. Yeah, so there's a lot of quotes out there, and credit to whoever came up with these thoughts and ideas. That as human beings, we all, I think it was Alan Watts. As thank you, Christine, for sharing this with me. I think Alan Watts said something like, all human beings want to be significant, and the question is, how do you feel significant? So anyway, how I feel significant in this moment is by contributing in that way. Also, feeling significant. Honestly, it's also getting attention from people. It's, wow, interesting, getting attention from people. And before for me, it was like getting attention from the from the large world, whatever it is, getting lots of subscribers and followers and things like that. And I'm grateful that I'm at a point where that stuff to me doesn't really matter anymore. It's like, I'm not here to get tons of followers. I'm here to connect on a deeper level with whoever wants to connect with me. So whoever's on right now, thank you for joining and taking your time to just connect. And I appreciate people who are, just always hopping on a regular basis and engaging in conversation, which is super, super cool. Talking about significance. So right now, if anything, I'm glad I'm scaling down, instead of needing everyone's kind of approval and, subscribers and all these different things. I've improved, and I feel a lot of my significance, like I do want to get significance from significant other in a way. Like I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel um, significant. I want to feel that I'm important to my partner, whatever it is. So to me, that's important. Um, for better or worse, it's just the way that my mind currently works in this moment. So where else do I get significance? Mm. What else makes me feel significant? What else makes me feel significant is I would say that's it. I think those are the main things. So that's how I define significance in this moment right now, which is number one is by still getting some sort of approval. By that I mean people are impacted by the work that I'm doing. Just by talking, doing live streams every single day, speaking at schools, sharing my story, which I think there's a lot of awesome, powerful value in it. And I think a lot of times I don't even know the impact that I make in the world. I just do. So because we can never know. We can never ever really truly know the impact that we make in the world. Why? Because not everyone voices their opinion. So we just have to trust that people are growing, learning, and that we're making a difference in the world. Um, yes. And so that was question A, which is what am I currently, how do I, what makes me feel significant in this moment? And then the second question is, um, what should be defining our significance? Okay? So what should be defining our significance? Nelly, I'm going to look your comment in just a second. What should be defining our significance? Let's see here. Significance. How do you define significance? What should be defining our significance? I want to say what should be defining our significance is ourselves. I think the more we could internalize things. So when we seek external stuff for validation, it's we become reliant or dependent on our external environment, people outside of us. But I think when we start trying to seek significance from within, meaning just we don't need validation, we don't need any of that. We don't need anyone to say, "Hey, great job." Although that's perfectly okay, I think. But when we start to understand ourselves and believe in ourselves and just know that we're making a difference and we don't need to prove anything, I think that's like the more genuine version of significance. So I think I'm working towards that. I think it's working. Yeah, that's what I have there. I think that pretty much covers up the whole what I want to talk about. So let's dive into questions and let's do this. Hmm. Nelly says you should feel significant because you got a good following and always looking forward to watch your streams. Nelly, Avi, thank you. I appreciate those comments. Um, hmm. Let's see. Okay. Thank you for that. What's really okay? I'm gonna be very candid. Of course, I always try to be open, honest, but there's moments where I need to open up. I get to open up a little bit more than I want to, and that's one of these moments. Um, so I have this. We as human beings are so interesting. Like we're weird. We're strange creatures. So here you two are. Nelly and Avi. Both of you are like, Richard. Um, you should feel significant because you got a decent sized following, and we're on watching you, stuff like that. That is super kind of you to say. There's a part of me, which is the really screwed up part of this. There's a part of me that's just like, Richard, you should be impacting more people's lives. Like you're not impacting enough people's lives. So it's like I'm robbing myself of the victories, which is so sad. I want to say, part of me just wants to not feel, almost apologize for that, because it's like here you are, trying to say something kind to me, and I'm almost internally like discounting the credit that you're giving to me because I have this other self-sabotaging idea that I'm not doing enough still. There's so much more that to be done. So one thing that I'm working on And I don't know, it's a process, you know. It's a process until it's not. Like, it's a process until I finally realize, okay, this is how I get over it. This is how I overcome these negative thoughts, or this, you know, self-sabotaging belief. Um, so, oh boy. Um, yeah. So one thing that I started doing in the past 1 or 2 months is every single day when I journal at night, I now add wins. Like, how did I win the day? And for me, that definitely helps to remind me of the things I have done. But it also, like, once we start incorporating habits, it kind of becomes a routine, and we kind of there's a part of us, if we're not being present or conscious, it kind of just loses that like full meaning, you know. So when I do wins, I'll just like it. I do it, I do it, and I do get present. But it's also a little bit mechanical when I'm typing up like, today today's win was, you know, I accomplished all my tasks today, you know. And it feels good, but there's always parts of it that I miss out on, and yeah, so still working through it. You know, I'm trying to figure out what the techniques are too. So that's what I have. All right, Avi says, I'd say that it is definitely natural to feel that way. The ego tends to get in the way of a lot of when we are working on self growth. Thank you for that reminder. Yes, ego is the enemy, right? Nelly says, I totally understand that people always want to make a big impact. Yeah, so life to me is fascinating. Like, I feel like happiness, like, imagine if you could just be happy. Like, when I say happy, like, you're just straight up, you're just happy. That's it. You're just straight up happy. Like, no, nothing else. No worries in the world. Like, no, there's no stresses. There's no like disappointments. You're just happy. Excuse me, one second. Um, I feel like that's kind of the ultimate goal, and it's like ego slash. There's only a few things that get in our way of just being happy. So, goodness, it's like for myself, it's like I feel like I almost understand how to be happy, and being happy is a choice. It's like in this moment, like, you know what? Forget about it. Like, forget about forget about all my worries. Forget about like all the problems that I have. Forget about stressing so much about the future. All these things. Like, just be happy in this moment. But um, you know, because of the way our brains are wired in some interesting way, like for me, what makes me unhappy is that I'm focusing on the future too much. Like, I'm not always unhappy, but like when I'm unhappy, it's usually because I'm focusing on the future too much. I'm focusing on, I gotta hit my goals. You know, I gotta do this. I gotta whatever work hard, make sure I whatever hit all my goals pretty much. So I'm working on balancing. Like, I'm trying to figure out how do I find that right balance between, um, you know, creating a vision, goals, but also just enjoying today, enjoying this moment right now. Like, literally 8:24 p.m. Pacific time on this Monday. How do we just enjoy this moment right now? Uh, that's it. Like, no other. I feel positive. Like, right now, I feel positive just thinking about that. To just let go and stop stressing so much about all the things I have to do feels great. Uh, but I also know I get to balance too, because I also get to do that work that gets to get done. But yes, that's what I have. Alrighty. So with that being said, honestly, I know today we're only 24 minutes in, which is strange. By the way, if you got questions, happy to answer. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I did not realize people were commenting on Facebook. So sorry. I just saw it because I don't know why it didn't scroll down for me. Murley says, when you grow significant is when you grow significant is good. Sigh, as it reinforces behavior. Otherwise, it's wasted. As you grow, significance is good as it reinforces behavior. Sorry, I'm missing a word. My brain's not processing. Murthy also says, brainstorm your beliefs and get rid of your conflicts. See the movie Peaceful Warrior on YouTube. I watched The Peaceful Warrior. Yeah. Oh goodness, I'm remembering that one scene of going up the mountain. Wow. Makes me kind of want to watch it again. I want to put that on my list. If you haven't seen The Peaceful Warrior, if you got nothing better to do, watch The Peaceful Warrior. Movies to watch. Peaceful Warrior. Okay. Thank you for that recommendation. It's been a while since I've watched movies, which is, it's kind of a treat. I'm looking forward to it. So brainstorm your beliefs and get rid of your conflicts. I do remember one main message I got from watching Peaceful Warrior. I'm down to watch it again and see what else I learned from it. So, yeah. Yes. Alrighty here. Let's see here. Nelly says, "Are you also live streaming right now on Facebook?" Yes. Every single day, I try my best to stream both on YouTube and Facebook because just different audiences and why not? More engagement, stuff like that. But yes, I read all the comments on both Facebook and YouTube, so nobody is left out or should be. Yes, Avi says he multi-streams. Pretty smart of him. Yeah. I'm curious to know from all of you who are watching right now on Facebook and YouTube, how does that make you feel? Do you feel like you're less special because I'm streaming on another quote unquote audience at the same time, or do you feel fine with it? I remember when Tai Lopez, if you don't, Tai Lopez used to stream on multiple devices, and I'm just like, man, this guy's so, I don't know how to say, like, try hard. He's trying to milk everything that he can, which, anyway, that's like an ego conversation that I'm having. But for me, that was kind of like my hesitation with streaming on multiple platforms. But so for those of you who don't know, I used to stream on Facebook every single day for I did a daily live stream for like 220 days or so in a row, almost. I missed maybe 1 or 2 days, and I was like, I want to get back to doing that. And I'm like, YouTube is a really big like platform for me too. So I'm like, what's a way I can do both and stream both at the same time? So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Who? My nose. Okay, we're good. Avi says, it actually helps me. Facebook normally gives me reminders that you are live at this time. Today I didn't get the notification, so I went on YouTube. Nice. Right on. Alrighty. So, honestly, today feels like a little bit of a shorter stream, which is interesting because I feel like for the past 2 or more weeks, all our streams have been over an hour. We're only at 28 minutes now, and I'm only going to talk for as much as we need to. And as long as the conversations keep going on, as long as we have questions, stuff like that. Yes. So at this point, I know it's earlier than usual, but I'm going to get started with kind of wrapping up the conversation. And if more questions come in, then awesome. We'll keep the conversation going. Yeah. So again, today's question of the day is, how do you define your significance? And then throughout the stream, I wanted to redefine or recreate the question into how do I currently define myself, my significance? And then what's the best way to define our significance? Best case scenario. So I'm going to answer like all three questions in a way. Number one is, how do you define your significance? How do I define my significance? Goodness. What defines my significance in this moment right now? Again, imperfect answer. My answer was, what defines my significance, I would say, is the impact I feel like I'm having. And it's the amount of people... What makes me feel significant? That's a question I want to rephrase to. What makes me feel significant is, yes, of course, making an impact in people's lives. So through just doing live streams makes me feel significant because I'm contributing something. What else? Speaking gigs, of course, that makes me feel significant. Sure, praise, people like, hey, Richard, that was really cool, whatever. Sometimes people say you changed my life, blah, 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 or this really helped. Things like that, like, those are just words of affirmation that helps kind of makes me feel significant. What else makes me feel significant? What makes me feel significant is, I would say, honestly, it's like people giving me those compliments. Like, hey, Richard, let's talk closer people, let's talk about family and close friends, significant others, all that kind of stuff. If they were to like, hey, Richard, like, I really value you. I think, you're a very genuine, resourceful guy who's helped me a lot and all that kind of stuff. Like, the more genuine the comment is, and when I'm connecting I can feel it, then that obviously makes me feel more significant. So for better or worse, for good or bad, like, that's how up until now I have kind of gathered my significance. Let's talk about what are the best practices, in my opinion, to or for creating significance in our lives, or how we should feel significant. I was saying earlier that I believe significance should come from a more of an internal source versus an external. I believe feeling significant. I feel like we should just feel significant from the inside. Like, sure, keep doing what you're passionate about. Keep giving. Keep whatever, in whatever way you want to make an impact in the world. Keep doing that. And I think one thing that I'm working on is, instead of seeking validation from the outside, I want to kind of like seek validation from the inside, or just like be comfortable with who I am, and just know that by just being me, that's going to I can make myself feel significant versus leaning on others to do that. But in the meantime, as I'm figuring all this out, it's perfectly okay to I believe it's perfectly okay to reach outside for support in feeling significant as we keep building ourselves up for that. Okay. Alrighty. So with that being said, we are pretty close to the end of our stream. I don't think, is this still Nellie Carlson? Good to see you on. Good to see you on. Hey. All right. I see your friend request. Got you. I got you, brother. Okay, so before I hop off, I want to make one final one final announcement of the of this thing that's happening. Tiny.cc/. Okay, cool. And so that final announcement, I mentioned this yesterday, and I'm this is probably the last time I'm going to mention it. So some of you know what this thing is called, this Own Your Life Challenge. So we did it for January. It's a monthly challenge to help you break bad habits, like achieve one of your goals. That's essentially what it is. Break bad habits, create positive habits, and achieve one of your goals. Like, those are the three things the Own Your Life Challenge is all about. It's about owning your life. It's about improving it. So February, I know I talked about this yesterday, but literally right now in this moment, I decided to kind of restructure, to change the structure a little bit. So it's going to be more intimate for February. It's not going to be, a huge sum of people. It's going to be a small group. And if you choose to join, there's going to be more attention. Like, we are all going to literally work together as a team to achieve our goals. And I don't really want any more than 10 people. We already have 6 people signed up. It is free. I'm kind of hoping that, 10's a pretty big number still. So I'm hoping for like 8. Anyway, I do want to put it out there for anyone who's watching this video right now. You are invited. I don't really want to post, advertisements, anything like that. It's just, if you're dedicated enough to be on the stream and hearing this right now, then I'm inviting you to apply. Okay, so there is the link. Hold on, YouTube peeps, I'm going to post it for you right now. Okay, hold on. The link is tiny.cc/ownyourlife. Okay, that is the link to the application for February. Applications, I should have wrote this down. Applications are due literally in 14 hours from now. So they're due at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning Pacific time. Okay, so if you are interested in joining, my suggestion is to fill out the app. That's what I got, and yeah, it's gonna be a tight group. I'm gonna ask that whoever participates, number one, know that this is a very beta phase, like it's a test period. So I want to ask everyone for a lot of feedback. We're going to be doing weekly coaching calls where we talk and share about our goals and what our struggles are. So it's going to be a very engaging group, and the purpose of this is that we set up good foundation for future months of the Own Your Life Challenge, because look, I plan to scale this Own Your Life Challenge to include hundreds, maybe even thousands of students to be a part of it. So it's like, anyway, February is a very special month. February is like it's kind of a reset. Like January was, January is January. February is kind of like the first month where it's kind of like we're doing a little bit of some free coaching, So we're gonna create a lot of structure here. And my main goal for February is to help you achieve your the one goal you want to accomplish in 1 month. Okay, that's what I have. I can use all the support from you as possible. Let's do this. If you want to take on your life, if you want to start, if you're feeling kind of stuck in your life and you want to start making progress, this is a great opportunity to do so. We're going to have, accountability. We're going to have coaching calls, and you will have to put in the work though. Like, if you do not plan on putting in the work, if you don't plan on, doing it, I would discourage you from applying. I want people who are wanting, at least somewhat committed to, at least they're going to try. They're going to try their best to do it. And as long as you're willing and you're open to pushing yourself, then, then you can apply and possibly be accepted too. So anyway, for anyone who does apply, just to let you know, again, applications are closed in about 14 hours from now. And once applications are closed, like, I am going to quickly send out a form of like, please create your one goal that you want to accomplish, and it'll be a questionnaire. Please fill it out as soon as possible because we don't have a lot of time to set this up. I'm going to want to set up a initial call where we have every single person on, and we could all see each other. We could all communicate, introduce ourselves, and it'll be a tight group. So these are all the things like I want to do. It's gonna be a hectic upcoming few days probably, but we'll make it work. It'll be good. Okay. I saw. Let me see. Avi says link is broken. I already participated last month, so I'm going to hold out on this one. All right, cool. Link is broken. Is it broken? Own your life. HTTP. Huh. Is it broken? Link seems to be working for me. Hold on, I'm gonna try it again. Whoa, that's weird. Interesting. So it works on Facebook, but it doesn't work on, sorry, here, let me, I will get you the direct link so you don't have those problems. Okay, copy, and there we go. So everyone has the link now. Goodness. Okay. All right, people. Thanks for hopping on, and I appreciate you all taking time to hang out. Feel free to fill in the app if you want to. If you are committed to doing your best to accomplishing a goal and pushing yourself to become a better person in February, feel free to apply. We're gonna have a small group. We're gonna have fun with it. That's what I have. Okay. Thanks again. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye. Good night.